Chrisean Rock's a bare face, swollen eyes, and a shaky voice broadcasting live from a dark kitchen, no glitz, mascara, glossy filters, or glam. Her audience froze as she spoke in murmurs that were heavy with fatigue. "I'm sick of fighting. Even if that means speaking with people I once declared to be my adversaries, all I want is peace." The realization came as a shock. Just days after a furious Instagram tirade, Chrisean is showing her adversaries some consideration, and only for a few hours, after a feud on Twitter that almost caused anarchy in Los Angeles. However, before viewers could completely as she finished speaking, the camera moved, inadvertently exposing a stunning backdrop. A large marble island, a magnificent two-story chandelier, and an opulent house she had never exhibited to the world. Chrisean nonchalantly confirmed the rumors that were rife on the internet in a matter of seconds. "Yes, a housewarming party is what I'm hosting. My pals are coming over. We host sleepovers." When the world realized she was starting a new chapter, it was a moment that combined astonishment and vulnerability, one in which hidden luxury and old grudges unexpectedly appeared on the same screen. Chrisean Rock performed live without any gloss, filters, or chains. A single dull lamp illuminated a sparse kitchen, accompanied by heavy eyes and a quiet voice. She whispered to her followers that she was tired of fighting and that she wanted peace, even if it meant talking to people she had previously vowed never to talk to again. The tone was startling, coming just days after a furious Instagram outburst and hours after a heated Twitter argument. But the true shock was when the camera moved and showed a lavish mansion that no one had ever seen before. A large marble island and a sparkling two-story chandelier. The queries started to come in as soon as the live conversation had cooled down. Fans questioned whether the simple, bright area behind her was her new residence. She gave a nod with little excitement, adding that she would throw a modest event to celebrate the transfer. 6 or 7 close buddies, perhaps. Although the words seemed like a gentle celebration, there was no flame in her voice. The silence between her replies sounded heavier than her actual responses, and it was bland, almost planned. The internet was buzzing after that slight discord. Was this a new chapter, really? Or did something greater come to an end? Long before. This time, those who had followed her for years had observed the change. Instagram stories with gloomy lighting have taken the role of the previous electrifying live feeds, which were full of music, jokes, and raw anarchy. Initially, each one appeared to linger in the air like a riddle, calling for interpretation, with subtitles that resembled Hush diary entry lines like, "I'm not okay, but I will be," or "Some blessings come with pain." There were rumors circulating behind the scenes. Some individuals in the industry discreetly revealed that she had been avoiding events that she used to dominate and turning down collaborations that felt like they were a perfect fit for her brand. She reportedly declined a lucrative endorsement from a big hair care line agreement that would have solidified her as a household name, according to one especially shocking rumor. Her circle was rocked by that move alone, leading to concerns about burnout, personal issues, or even a planned withdrawal from the public eye. Others presented a more dire picture, arguing that survival was more important than strategy. She was barely keeping herself together, according to one stylist who had worked closely with her, in a tone reserved for those who could be trusted. They said, "She's not just tired, she is truly depressed. Hardly leaving the house, not eating, and not sleeping. Fittings were canceled, text conversations were abandoned, and she would occasionally look off into space during a conference call, as if she were in another place." Her physical attributes, such as weight loss, dark circles under her eyes, and an abrupt lack of interest, spoke for themselves. In the striking, vibrant appearances she formerly considered armor. When friends attempted to reach her, their responses were courteous but aloof, as though she was saving up energy for an unidentified reason. Fan theories were already raging when she made the announcement of the housewarming. Others felt it was a phony positivity that concealed something far more sinister, while others surmised it was a silent farewell to her inner circle before withdrawing from the spotlight. One thing was for sure, her silence was louder than any live stream she had ever done, regardless of whether the reality slanted toward retreat or reinvention. There was an odd promise at the end of the program. She would extend invitations too. Folks she didn't think she might even show off the house and talk to him again. A matte gray BMW and a black G-Wagon were spotted by paparazzi arriving at a Calabasas home less than 2 days later. surpassed Carrizo, Chrissy B, Alexis, and Jaden. 3 ladies have a complicated and lengthy history with Christian. A source close to her claimed that the invitations had been intimate. Calls are courteous, don't shout. The visitors were unaware, however, that 3 covert cameras were already in motion. Inside the house, the air felt heavy, like a storm waiting to start. People gave each other brief hugs and greeting. Food trays were placed on the counter, and it was instructed that everyone put their phones away, except just one. Christian kept hers in the rear pocket of her jeans, out of sight but not far from it. Her voice was low but urgent as she walked briskly across the kitchen. She talked about how she was exhausted by the ongoing drama, how she was too worn out, lonely, and depleted to maintain the feuds. It seemed for a second that perhaps, just possibly, this meeting might remain peaceful. The room's energy changed a little, a delicate fragment forming. However, a sudden flicker, she took out her phone with a look of determination in her eyes. She tapped a folder prominently titled Receipts after a brief unlock and scroll. No build-up, no warning. She played an audio recording from that folder that caused everyone in the room to stop breathing. There was no mistaking the voice on the tape. The face was Blue. He spoke to Carissa in a nonchalant, almost icy tone. Allow her to shatter. That's the content. That's a check. She crawled back. Like smoke from an explosion, the words lingered in the air. The kitchen, where only a moment ago there was a lot of quiet conversation, but now there is no sound at all. Carissa's gaze went blank, as if her thoughts had suddenly disappeared. With a sudden gasp, Chrissy's palm automatically covered her mouth. Jaden was obviously struggling to take in what she had just heard because she stood still and her eyes were wide. The room's temperature seemed to drop by a few degrees. Nobody made a move. Nobody said anything. In a moment too heavy to break, they simply stood there suspended. This meeting's purported goal, whether it was to make amends, have dinner together, or just to get the air, was broken in an instant. The debate that had begun as uncomfortable but possibly manageable had now turned into something much more hazardous. Personal grievances and injured sentiments were no longer relevant. This involved strategy, manipulation, and betrayal. At the same time, everyone seemed to understand that audio was evidence of a deliberate attempt to take advantage of suffering for financial gain, not merely gossip or small-time drama. It reframed all of the internet arguments, outbursts, and public altercations. And now they couldn't ignore it since it was in their faces. Once only unpleasant, the room was now on the verge of exploding. Carissa, Chrissy, and anybody else who could respond next were all in the spotlight. There would be no more silence. There was an impending event. An argument, an outburst, or perhaps a total breakdown. This night, whatever had been intended to be, had simply become a watershed, and there was no turning back. A serious but peaceful peace discussion in Chrisean Rock's new mansion took a completely different turn. This wasn't reconciliation when she turned to face the room and added, "Y'all laughed at me, but I'm the one holding all the receipts." It was a secret. Exposed, and Christian was using covert cameras to plan it. The front door suddenly opened, and her elder brother, an unwelcome W card, came in. "You're letting people who dragged your name sit on your couch? What happened to you?" he said, his eyes meeting hers. Christian's composure cracked. "I'm tired of being the villain. I just wanted to feel like I had power for once." Carissa cried as her hands trembled, and she said, "I don't want to fight anymore." Jaden, ever the opportunist, continued shooting while Chrissy retreated, and somewhere in the jumble there was mayhem. Her second phone hidden someplace connected to a burner. By accident, TikTok went live. The signal that Christian is alive illuminated the fans' gadgets. Her shout echoed, and in a matter of seconds, thousands were viewing a shaky, low-angle stream. "I might as well give you something to talk about if you're going to dislike me anyhow. One of the chairs is scratched." A door slammed. Someone yelled. Then there was quiet. The hashtag Christian House Tours feed was cut online, but no one was discussing marble countertops anymore. With tears in their eyes, rumors flew out. Someone tossed alcohol, perhaps even a brawl. There was no evidence, but one thing was for sure. Everything had been arranged, including the vulnerability, the olive branch, and the house's destruction. Christian had now disappeared from socials. Carissa quickly made her version of events public. With her bonnet on and her voice trembling with barely contained rage, she went live from inside her automobile. The entire evening had seemed to her like a plan set up. She explained to her audience that what the outside world perceived as an emotional breakdown was actually a well-planned trap. She recounted the specifics as if she were reenacting a crime scene. There was an oddly clean house and an exceptionally cordial greeting that seemed strange in retrospect, but there was no obvious camera crew or busy assistants. Carissa claimed it all connected when Chrisean played the damning audio snippets. This was no informal gathering. It was a trap designed to cause the most embarrassment. She claimed that 3 covert cameras had been in place the entire time, set up to record every look, gasp, and response. According to Carissa, Chrisean even threatened in private to reveal private messages if her guests refused to acknowledge whatever story she desired. The portion that really lit up the internet came next. Chrisean's true intention, according to Carissa, was not to hold a cordial meeting or extend any kind of compromise. The first episode of a brand new reality show was to be filmed. She stated that there was already a file named Proof of Growth, Episode 1, The Peace Trap, on her laptop. The title hung in the air for dramatic effect, and Carissa's voice grew harsher as she repeated it. In order to produce entertainment that could be edited and packaged for viewing, she portrayed Chrisean as someone who was prepared to use friendship, forgiveness, and even mental health issues as weapons. Carissa insisted the betrayal cut deeper than only being unapprovedly recorded. It was the knowledge that the entire evening had been planned for narrative purposes, a deliberate strategy to elicit strong feelings, surprise them, and then turn their unfiltered suffering into material. She talked about how she had paced the kitchen earlier, discussing her loneliness and melancholy, and then, like a plot twist in a pre-written play, she pulled out the folder of receipts. It was evidence to Carissa that this was never about making amends. Ratings were the issue. Comments flooded her live chat, with some supporting her and others accusing her of overreacting or attempting to change the subject. Nevertheless, she stepped up, advising everyone to be mindful of their backs. Because every hug, apology, and tear in Chrisean's universe may be a scene from an episode you never consented to be a part of. Carissa had not only changed by the end of her life. In addition to influencing public opinion of that evening, it also spurred a larger discussion about the hazy boundaries between reality TV and real life, where the peace offering can occasionally be a trap. A 15-second clip that escaped from one of Chrisean's covert angles 15 minutes into Carissa's live stream set the internet on fire once more. Within it, "They think I'm soft now that I'm crying online," she said, pacing the kitchen phone behind her back. "Give them the impression that I'm going to change the entire story." The fandom broke apart right away. She was seen by some as the clique's mental health man. Others saw her as a marketing genius who transformed adversaries into unintentional cast members. Old, mysterious subtitles were abruptly changed to teasers. "Before I offer you all the tours, I need to clear the energy. God granted me a palace." That should be seen by everyone. No one had seen the foreshadowing she had been doing for weeks. The first to stir things up was Blueface. Quickly glance at Instagram. "Tail," he wrote, "she's finally using that brain for something besides drama. Salute." With a sly smile at the mayhem, he followed up with a more scathing remark before the cheers could subside. A few hours later, he doubled down, sharing a smiling selfie with Jaden along with the remark, "We survived the trap house." That one sentence added fuel to an already raging fire. "Y'all think she's deep. No, she's just lonely and smart." Dangerous combo. What began as rumors of a house tour now seemed more like the first move in a lengthy game. A peculiar mashup of reality TV. The only arena large enough for both the internet and theater was used for psychological warfare. All of a sudden, the mystery was the story, not the home. Was the invitation intended to show off marble countertops and a tiny car-sized chandelier? Or was the scene merely a disguise for something more significant? Perhaps even a docuwar's soft launch? Was this the slow burn of Chrisean's last public breakdown or the beginning of her next chapter? She was silent, strolling a polished marble hallway as the words that would soon be spoken behind closed doors faded into view. There were no posts or statements, just a grainy black and white clip that was uploaded to her backup TikTok like a coded message. Half of the internet was convinced that she had been manipulating things all along. The other half, however, were still unable to determine whether they were witnessing a breakthrough or a breakdown. With hashtags like Chrisean, Pestrap, and Behind Closed Stories ping-ponging across the trending tab for 2 days in a row, the conversation turned into a war zone after Chrisean's live stream ended and leaked. Back pocket footage started making the rounds. She was presented by Team Genius as a brilliant strategist who transformed uncontrolled mayhem into a dramatic storyline turn that even Mona Scott would be proud of. She was accused by Team Fake Healing of being deceptive and taking advantage of mental health stories only to trick adversaries into falling into a content trap. They didn't feel empowered by this. Was it art disguised as exploitation? Stars entered the fray. Sai Santana chuckled as Summer Walker said, "When pain turns into a product, just hope you aren't the storyline." She didn't turn operations into an underpaid extra body. "Give a crew to that chick," Dusky pleaded. "This shouldn't be a Bet Plus exclusive. I must have it on Netflix." The initiator, Tokyo Tony, just yelled into her phone, "I adore it, baby." Scores. Silence was never gained by a Blueface. Before making another remark, he called her sobbing livestream Oscar-worthy. She is not injured. She was starving. While he was still rapping unconventionally, fans retorted that she had successfully turned suffering into a brand. In the meantime, Reddit investigators discovered a smoking gun trademark application for Behind Closed Doors using her legal name. A blind item leak shortly followed, indicating that a viral star had signed a six-figure deal for a Raw multi-episode digital series that basically covered everything from streaming rights to healing through transparency. Began with a phony piece. Conference in a mansion. The theory solidified. There was no turmoil here, a storyboard was what it was. A ruse to lure Blueface, reveal long-standing adversaries, and set the stage for something much more significant. The 111A followed. Nim. Fall, impelling, tense, hypnotic, Christian makeup in a 53-second clip. A mess of frizzy hair gazed into a mirror. I was simply waiting for the appropriate moment to reply, even though they claimed I was broken. As soon as Jaden entered the mansion, there were quick cuts. Carissa, unaware of it, concealed the look of the camera. "Why does this feel like a trap?" Christian whispered as he paced a hallway. The last picture showed a folder marked proof. Soon fade to black and white letters spilling behind locked doors. A new twist exploded on Lena just as the hysteria reached its apex. A voicemail purportedly sent by Christian to a member of her management team. Her tone was cold and purposeful. "This is about control, not about a house. They tried to ruin me in public, so I'm using angles, lighting, and cameras to counter that. When the feeble blue face appears in court, we drop it." A savage vow marked the end of the recording. No one will ever play with my name again when they watch the last scene. What appeared to be a breakdown was beginning to resemble a proclamation of